Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor. I wanted to start this video by showing you what's going on in the market this morning. On XRP, we're at about 19 cents still. It's up about 1.65%. But this morning I was seeing this right here. I've seen a few screenshots of this right here, and I really don't know what to make of this. But people are, like in this tweet, he says, what's going on? This is the XRP Japanese yen. Now, so I kept seeing this going around, so I went to check out. Now, you're looking at XRP USD here, and the volumes don't look very significant at all going over towards Japan. So I don't have any clue what all this is that's going on right now. But it's certainly something that I'm sure it'll kind of surface what this probably some glitch or some type of thing, but people were sending this around Twitter this morning. First I wanted to show you this. This is from the crypto utility guy at Utility Guy 7. He sent me this blockchain project. I think he sent me this. Blockchain projects are just entering the Netscape phase. Now, many of you were not around back during that. So I want to read you a part of this article that I think is very telling about the state of the world now and where the state of digital assets and how it relates to the way things are now versus the way they were during the internet. It's down here about perspective. Let's go down to, right here. In the early to mid 90s, I remember getting my family getting a first home PC, connecting a modem, and hearing that horrible dial-up sound when signing it onto AOL. It didn't always connect, and many times when it did, it was painfully slow. I remember ugly hyperlinked websites and thinking, no way I'm putting my credit card into this and buying something. Then in 97, 98, when I got to college, second generation websites started to pop up with better UI, UX. There was vastly better developer tooling, improved infrastructure, encryption, and regulatory clarity. I think a lot of people who question crypto and blockchain now forget or didn't experience these early days. And then it goes on to this, and it's talking about now how there's this on-demand mentality. Our judgment is marred by our collective timescales and expectations. We have become a society of now. Venturing outdoors to rent a movie, buy food, or other household supplies has been replaced by the click of Netflix, Postmates, and Amazon Prime. We expect to plug in a device and download an app and for it to work perfectly. In the early days, we just hoped we didn't blow up our computer. And then down here it says, this shift in mindset to on-demand has altered our idea of how quickly things should happen, and in my opinion has negatively affected our perspective on digital assets and blockchains. Most blockchain technology appearing now started in academic theory 20 or 30 years ago. Now, I won't go any further, but as an example, David Schwartz did a patent on I don't know if it wasn't called blockchain when he did the patent, but back in the 80s, I believe, did a patent on something similar to blockchain. That's how long all this has been being talked about, folks. And so the idea that a 2-year period of time we've been in a bear market in cryptocurrencies is really not looking at things through the right lens at all. So I wanted to show you that. Now, from Chinu Patel at Chinu Patel 29, he sent me this. This is from Digital Asset Esquire. This is the Faster Payments Council, sprung from the Faster Payments Task Force response to the Fed's request for comment regarding the new FedNow and NSS policies. The key is looking at this document and deciding where Ripple and the ILP will play a role. Catalyst Corporate, and he goes through, he's talking about how they don't mention Catalyst Corporate, an ODL user of Ripple, does not mention Ripple at all in its comment to the Fed Reserve. R3 had the most interesting comment that I believe everyone should read. Now here's his this is what he said everybody should read. In our suggested use case, a wholesale digital currency issued by the Federal Reserve would immediately enable atomic payment versus payment and delivery versus payment, as well as increased security due to distributed infrastructure. In the future, it will also provide the digital asset integration, shorter settlement times, frictionless cross-border payments, and liquidity savings. That the solution and the corresponding CBDC can be completely designed to suit the needs of the service and its users. Federal Reserve could ensure the system not only fully meets the objectives set forth in the notice, but reinforces its supervisory capacity and positions itself for integration with digital asset innovations. And that last line right there, to me, says that way they can work with private companies. Okay, and next, this is about Craig Wright. Bitcoin's purported creator says his fortune may remain locked. And it says the man who claims he invented the world's largest cryptocurrency and was ordered by a judge to surrender about 3 billion of his Bitcoin holdings said he may not be able to do so anytime. Now, I read through this article and the wording that he uses and these quotes like this right here. Craig Wright said that he cannot be certain that information will in fact arrive. Everything that it says, and then it says here, the Australian scientist added that he hasn't said the private keys to those coins would become available or be actually used next month. Everything that I read in this article, and it's very vague, leads me to believe that this guy doesn't have the private keys. But what do I know? I just get the impression that if he does have the private keys, he's going to play stupid, and they're never getting any Bitcoin out of this guy. Which, you know, why would, if he can hold his hands up and say, well, I don't have the private keys, or I lost the private keys, then why would he hand $3 billion over to the government? Unless they're going to put him in jail, that is. And maybe they will. And he may be willing to do some jail time to not let them have $3 billion. I don't know. Okay. I'm not going to go into the article because Michael at VAL5 Links summarized it perfectly. After the halving comes into effect in 2020, 50% of all newly mined Bitcoin will be absorbed by the purchases of clients of two companies, Grayscale through its Bitcoin Trust and Square through its Bitcoin buying service. So I think that pretty well summarizes it. Think about from the standpoint of scarcity. If only two companies are going to be 50% of the Bitcoin is going to be absorbed by two companies, think about what that means if you owned only one Bitcoin as we go forward. Think about all the other companies that are going to be coming into this game to create. I mean, look, Grayscale has been very successful in bringing a lot of money into their Bitcoin trust. So why would other companies not say, hey, they're making all this money doing this, we need to do our own? Of course they're going to do that. And what happens with it? Instead of two companies, it's 100 companies. What happens to the value of Bitcoin then in that scenario? Okay, let's move along here. Brian Melancholy at MikeHoncho_11 sent me this. I thought this was interesting. This kind of puts things in perspective from Crypto Mike. Let me make sure I follow him. Yes. Take a look at the big picture, and it's all about water and liquidity. Ripple is full of symbolic references. Think maritime law. Spring is called so because it's affiliated to water. Banks, as in river banks, control the flow of currents or currency. Spring, XRapid, XCurrent, XPool, Ripple, all connected to water. I thought that was interesting. I've never seen anybody lay it out. XRP Crypto Wolf says XRP might end up being one of the worst performing cryptocurrency percentage gains wise in 2019. But I have a great feeling that it'll be the best performing crypto asset in 2020. Regulatory clarity is all that XRP needs for Ripple to launch more on-demand liquidity corridors. And then there's this from Sir Gordon Gecko. ODL exchange Bitso now on CoinMarketCap. Now, I think this is pretty darn interesting. If you remember, those of you that were around, excuse me, those of you that were around, CoinMarketCap almost single-handedly tanked the XRP price as we were at the height of the run in 2017 when they pulled many of these exchanges from over in Korea and Japan, as I recall. They pulled them because they didn't want the prices, the prices over there were much higher than the prices in the US. So instead of just creating some average or something, they decided they would just pull them overnight. And what it did is the very next morning, all of us woke up and it showed a huge price drop in XRP. And it made it look like overnight the price had dropped. It had not dropped. They had just taken out of the factoring the Korean markets altogether. And so it literally caused the market to tank. And that's what began the downslide. Now they've added these volumes from Bitso, which is one of the on-demand liquidity places. You can see the XRP Mexican peso right there. That is big time. Anytime they start adding things where that means that they are getting closer. They don't have real price discovery with XRP because they don't have SPI in there. We know that. Until it at least shows that they are moving in the direction of having a real price discovery for XRP. Now this is interesting because this guy, I'm pretty sure, is a Bitcoin guy. Someone just sent me a payment with XRP. One thing is for sure, it's insanely fast. Well, folks, there's an old saying, a lie can travel halfway around the world before the truth even begins to puts its shoes on. Well, that's kind of what you're going to see that's my 20. You want my 2020 prediction? This right here, the truth about XRP being the greatest digital asset ever created will come about more and more. The truth is going to have its shoes on in 2020 in a lot of ways. And then there's this. Now, you may remember, this is the other day, Stephen Bull from the DIA, who is one of the best people on Twitter that provides excellent content. The guy's been knocking it out of the park for over a year on Twitter. He's got like 15,000 subscribers. He had put this out. He said, earth-shattering news in Japan, almost every bank is starting to adopt XRP. And then this guy, Bank XRP, had tweeted this out. This is the actual guy that's here on stage, and the guy clarifies his remarks. He says, this is a remark I made at a Japanese conference in Tokyo and refers to Japanese banks working with means, experimenting, evaluating, testing, or deploying. I did not say adopt. View the video. My comments reflect Ripple's offerings, not just XRP. And the important thing, and then this made me sad to think that he took it this way, because I saw, and I don't know if it was because of this, but I saw this this morning from Stephen Dia. Now, anybody who has been following Stephen Dia for the last year with a half of a brain knows that he's one of the good guys. He has gone out of his way to bring some of the best content on Twitter for the last over a year. People have been accusing me for creating hypes lately. Not really. All I did was look for hidden factual info and share it on Twitter. A hype cannot be just by one individual like myself. It takes efforts of people collectively, Well, the point here is, and this is directly to Stephen Dia. Don't sit around wasting your time worrying about critics. You focus on putting out the best content possible and focus on putting out having good intentions and being honest and honorable in what you do. That's what's important. And I want to show this is specifically for Stephen from the DI. And this is about critics. And I don't care who you are. I don't care anybody out there who wants to accomplish anything in their lives. You need to go ahead and get it in your head that if you're going to do anything, you're going to have cowards that sit on the sidelines and they're going to criticize you. They're called critics, okay? And I want to show you what Theodore Roosevelt had to say about that. It's called The Man in the Arena. Listen to this and listen to it good. All of you out there who have any intention to ever do anything in your life, just go ahead and put this, write it down, put it on a plaque, okay? The Man in the Arena. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out the strong man how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. And finally, I want to show you this quote, Stephen, if you're listening out there. Leonard Bernstein, I've been all over the world and I've never seen a statue of a critic. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe and hit the like button and tell your friends and family that this guy's been all over the world and he's never, ever seen a statue of a critic. Thank you for listening.